Welcome to the Rundown, everybody. Vic Chi. Am I pointing at you, Vic?
I hope so.
I hope so, too. I'm looking at the camera, so I have no idea. Justin Moser. Am I pointing at you, Justin?
Yes, you are.
Nice. Jason Rubin. So the Kansas City Royals might start the All-Star Game. Literally. Not even figuratively. The reigning AL pennant winners currently lead All-Star voting in 5 categories, 5 positions, I should say. And about a week ago, we're leading in 8 of them. And then there was Mike Trout. So the idea to me of having, I have not watched the All-Star Game in a while. I'm a huge home run derby fan. I think it's like one of the greatest events in All-Star weekends, right? The All-Star Game I would absolutely tune into if it was the Royals and Mike Trout versus the National League team. Or I wish it was the Royals and Mike Trout versus the New York Mets, and then it would just be like another baseball game for anybody. So we have some of the votes and numbers here regarding these players. So Miguel Cabrera is probably going to beat out Eric Hosmer, as he probably should, for first base, as he is once again putting up a ridiculous season. Omar Infante, I can't believe this, because you look at Jose Altuve, who's an unbelievably good baseball player. He is one of the first to really rejuvenate the Astros in just every category. Hitting, hits for contact, sees the ball well, runs the bases well, everything about that. He's losing by 300,000 votes to Omar effing Infante. Josh Donaldson is a million votes up on Mike Moustakas. And now it gets interesting, because Alcides Escobar is going to win shortstop, although it's a pretty weak position for the AL this year. And Kendrys Morales is only a few 100,000 behind Nelson Cruz. Now there's one more graph, because we're going to see Salvador Perez with the outright lead, as he probably should be. And then Mike Trout, Lorenzo Cain, and Alex Gordon rounding out the outfield, with somehow Alex Rios getting 6.5 million votes. I didn't know 6.5 million people in this country knew who Alex Rios was, let alone voted for him. So
that's the beauty of the online voting system. He doesn't have to be known by that many people to get that many votes.
You can vote up to 35 times with one email account. Now, there's probably crazies out there who have 50 email accounts, probably titled Alex Rios for the All-Star Game at gmail.com 400,000 times, so they can vote and vote and vote and vote. I don't know what you're doing with your lives, but one way to spend it is voting for these players. Now, I remember the All-Star Game ballots as being going to the stadium and punching them out.
Yeah, that was fun.
Not that young. People. So it does propose the question, what do you guys think is a better way to vote for the All-Star Game? Vic?
I'm not sure that you need a better way, because you just brought it up yourself. You don't really care about the All-Star Game, but here we are because of this. We're talking about it.
It's true.
In a lot of ways, the All-Star Game has become irrelevant because the big attraction many years ago was that you never saw these players on TV or coming to your town because there was only one game of the week, on NBC, then eventually ESPN got in a game. It's like now there's a game on all the time. You can get the package, MLB Network. So there's no mystery. So once upon a time, if you lived in LA, maybe you didn't see the Royals whenever you wanted to see the Royals, and it would actually be kind of cool to get to see them in the All-Star setting.
Until last year's playoff race, I don't know if anybody had seen the Royals since, at least since George Brett was playing for them.
Right, and I think that goes into some of the mindset of a lot of these Royal fans, is that they've been irrelevant for so long that here's their moment. We went to the World Series. Let's try and do something wacky to stay in the consciousness. We've been marginalized for such a long period of time. Here's our opportunity to make some hay, cause a ripple, and here we are talking about
and literally start the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
Justin, so do you think that maybe should the media have a say? Should the writers, like they do for the NBA Finals MVP, should they have a say on who the All-Stars are?
I don't necessarily think that the media should have a say, but I don't like online voting. There are numbers of polls in the last couple of years where the internet has just decided that they're going to make this person, they're just going to get behind one person. They become the most famous. It happens on American Idol. It happens in all kinds of polls where people are just get behind people.
The American Idol reference for voting.
Go into reality TV or competition TV, maybe you do the Dancing with the Stars model, where there's fan voting and there are judges, and you meld the results together. So one can't outweigh the other one too much.
One other thing that's interesting here, and in the NBA, almost the entire Hawks starting team, or the entire Hawks starting team
there's a lot of guys.
It's really interesting in the same year, after years and years of this never happening, that
happened twice.
That it would that would happen now.
For cities like Atlanta and Kansas City, I'm not making fun of your city. You're just not New York. Sorry. So in terms of other All-Star games, the voting is pretty similar for all of these. It's mostly fan interaction and how they vote for these guys to get in. But you have people like Kobe Bryant in the NBA All-Star Game every year. If Kobe was 50 and playing in the league, he'd still be in the NBA All-Star Game because his jersey sells and people are diehard fans of his. LeBron will be voting for the All-Star Game until he's 40. We know that, regardless what happens the rest of his career. Then you have places like the Pro Bowl, which I don't have. Either of you ever watched the Pro Bowl? Has anybody ever watched the Pro Bowl?
Maybe once.
Vic?
I would have to say,
Vic's
watching
like,
the Pro
every year.
Watching the Pro Bowl is something for dedicated gamblers. You know, you got the AFC minus 4.5.
Oh,
you're gonna check it out.
I am a dedicated gambler, and I could not find a way to bet on the Pro Bowl because what do you bet? Like, oh, the prop is Tom Brady's 6 touchdown passes. And now they made it before the Super Bowl, so even the teams that usually have the best players making the Super Bowl don't even play in the Pro Bowl because they did it in that off week between because nobody ever watched the Pro Bowl in the first place. I'm sure we get the Pro Bowl haters. Bring it. I love the hateful comments. So in terms of these All-Star games, there needs to be maybe a better way for voting if this is going to happen twice in the same season.
I have a really strong opinion about the NBA All-Star voting. I hate it. Because every year there's an inconsistent number of people that become All-Stars, and you hear in people's careers, like Jordan was a 12-time All-Star, but so-and-so is a whatever-time All-Star, and sometimes they get in because somebody was injured. And I just don't think that's really a good reason for somebody to become an All-Star when you look back on somebody's career, it's such an important thing.
It's good. That's a good point about defining
accolade.
Defining somebody's greatness by number of All-Star games. For example, there's injury and
it's always attached to these Hall of Famers when they make their careers. Like, oh, he was an 11-time All-Star. He was a 6-time All-Star. And sometimes they put it before MVPs.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
Or titles.
In the case with the NHL, sometimes they say, well, we're going to the Olympics this year, so we're not having an All-Star game. Or we're having a lockout, and we're not even going to play, and so there's no All-Star game. So some of these guys who the prime of their career happens on an Olympic year or during a lockout, they get cheated out of.
That's true. It's very
like do you remember like Damian Lillard and DeMarcus Cousins took not making the All-Star game in stride, and then they made the All-Star game, and like it's just like really stupid.
Although DeMarcus Cousins should have. I freaked out about that earlier in the NBA season that DeMarcus Cousins didn't make the All-Star team. Bullshit. I think I should vote for the All-Star game. Is that a little bit pompous? But that's okay. In terms of the National League, real quick, St. Louis has 3 players, Matt Carpenter, Johnny Peralta, and Matt Holliday. I don't know how Johnny Peralta is doing it. Oh, yes, I do. It's called steroids. Miami outfielder Giancarlo Stanton, D. Gordon, Washington outfielder Bryce Harper, San Francisco catcher Buster Posey, and Arizona first baseman Paul Goldschmidt, who's actually vying for a triple crown somehow. Don't know where the resurgence of baseball league-leading categories for Triple Crown has come from, but Miggy did it, and now maybe Paul Goldschmidt will do it for the first time in like 400 years. This has been the Rundown in partnership with ThePostGame.com and TYT Sports. I think I'm still pointing to Victor. I still think I'm pointing to Justin. Jason here with you. I'm not here with you anymore. We're leaving. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll see you next time.